Hey guys, here's a web gear set that I put together for my late war impression. The last web gear set was more of a 67, 68 kind of style. This one's a little bit more correct to the later war era. This would probably be a better reputable, I can't say that word. A better example of a 69 to 6 to 71 impression. So pretty much the guys back then, they completely ditched most of their gear. This was probably the most gear you would see on somebody. Um, Probably the one thing someone else would have would probably be like suspenders. That's kind of it, honestly. Well, I mean, you would probably have more gear if you weren't carrying a rucksack, but at this point in time, everybody had a rucksack. The only time you wouldn't be carrying a rucksack is when you're on like a 3 hour patrol or some shit like that. You know, real lightweight stuff, or a light combat kind of deal. Guys would usually, whenever they would go on patrols, they would just carry a bandolier, you know, probably just like one canteen. Carrying all this gear was really that necessary at that point. And I think gear regulations kind of eased up, and guys were just doing more of their own thing. But this is pretty much what I have on my gear for now. Um, I have three ammo pouches, M56. These are all the first pattern pouches, um, which is a little bit incorrect, but also correct at the same time. The first pattern pouches were kind of like really rare to see, and a lot of times you would see the second pattern, with like the little hole, you know. Um, but yeah, here's my Buck 119 knife. It's pretty badass. The original 60s ones and 70s ones actually had a red line right next to the black line. This one's just all black. I think this one's 74, but still looks relatively the same. They still make these knives today, but I can't put that back in its case. They still make these knives today, but the sheath is just completely different. Usually the sheath is really the main difference between the vintage knives and the newer knives. But there's kind of like an unknown history about these 119s. There's just like, if you go on like forums and stuff, there's just tons of people talking about these 119s being in Vietnam. A lot of guys would take them home, or not take them home, they would take them with them. Their parents would buy them for them, or they would probably buy them in Saigon or Hue, that kind of deal. They were being relatively sold at vendors and that kind of thing. Um, there is actually one video on YouTube of a Vietnam veteran talking about his 119. There were also 120s. I don't know if I mentioned that at all. There was 119s, 120s, and a classic Buck 110, the little pocket knife. But I think the knives that were used more for combat were these 119s and 120s. The 120 is pretty much the exact same knife, but like an inch and a half bigger, which is pretty cool. I was thinking about getting a 120, but I got this 119 pretty cheap. I just have a grenade right here. I usually have two. Here's the other one. I just kind of wanted to show off the color difference. I did a new like technique spray painting this, which I'm really happy how it came out. This is how all the grenades used to look. So I kind of want to do like a little color difference to show you guys. So I'm just gonna paint this one like that. I used the same. I only used like the same color spray paint. How do I explain this? The color spray paint I had was this color, and all of them, I spray painted all of them that color. And I decided that it'd be kind of interesting if maybe I tried mixing colors, like I used black or something like that. And so I spray painted all the grenades lightly with black, and they came out this more of a OD correct color. So it's much better than that lime green OD color. But yeah. Um, and shit, I kind of forgot my train of thought. Um, Another example of late war gear is guys' gear were completely mixed. You got a large variation of old gear, mid-war gear, and brand new gear. I threw this M67 canteen as an example of that. You know, you have all of this early war stuff, and then you just have an M67 canteen. That's just how it was. Usually, when like you have brand new gear, it's just like a single set. Um, but this is really just my setup for now. I don't have any suspenders because the suspenders would get in the way of the rucksack or the tropical rucksack, and it was really common for guys just ditching them. So I just did that. Kind of makes it a little bit more comfortable. I have another example I'm gonna be showing here in a minute, so stay tuned. All right, here's my second example of late war web gear. Ignore the Alice belt. I'm gonna swap that out some other time. It's just kind of a filler for now. I never noticed that this was an Alice belt until recently. But this is just another example. Here's an M56 canteen. This is actually kind of a mid-war canteen because it has the nylon. Shorty pouches. You know, I don't know if the 101st were issued shorty pouches. So far, I haven't found any photos of shorties being used. But I'm pretty sure they were. Well, there is only one photo that I found, but you can't really tell if it's a shorty. It looks like one. You could kind of see some nylon in there. You could see this in the photo, but it's just kind of really blurry and you can't really tell. So I don't know if I'm gonna run with the shorties anymore. I think that's more of a First Cavalry thing because I've seen photos of, you know, First Cavalry guys carrying those, but yeah. Continuing, this is pretty much just another example of early war gear being mixed with new war gear. M56 suspenders, like I said, first pattern or second pattern canteen. This is just, you know, pistol holster used throughout the war. That's just, you know, pistol pouch. And then this is the first pattern, first aid. But yeah, that's just my second example I have laying around. Hopefully you guys like this video, and see you guys around.